baseball kids, especially, man, they're weird. They're head cases. They're like all up in their own way. And
it's because individual sport within a team concept where failure is part of the game, it's not a fair game. It's like, I tell people all the time, it's like a good-looking girlfriend. You two probably never had a good-looking girlfriend, but if you did, you always have this really hot girlfriend, right? Are we on? We're not on now, are we?
Oh, we are.
We're recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell this story.
No, you can.
So,
we can do whatever.
so you have this really good-looking girl, right? And you want to break up with her because she's mean to you. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to break up with her. And then she puts out. And you're like, well, crap, I can't break up with her now, right? And that's baseball. That's what happens, right? You're like, God, I hate this sport. I'm going to quit. And all of a sudden you go 3 for 3. And you're like, damn.
Yeah.
So
I'm good
baseball's
at it.
a hot baseball's a hot girl.
You're instantly good at it that day.
That day. And then the next day you could strike out 4 times and you go, same thing, that girl in the hallway, comes up and all your buddies know that that's your girlfriend, right? And then the next day she acts like she doesn't know you. Yep. You're like, I'm going to break up with her. And then all of a sudden she knows you again. You're like,
like everybody's like, oh, it's pitcher dependent. Man, I've seen the best hitters struggle against terrible. The best hitters on our past team
couldn't hit crap.
You let the kid throw 90 plus, we're hitting him.
Yeah. You got out there and you get a kid. We even now, like our 16, 17, if you get a kid out there, he's throwing 86, 90. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
You get a kid out there throwing 54. You're like, oh, we're in trouble. It's going to be a long day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in trouble.
Is that a bigger difference with the older kids, you think, versus younger kids?
100%.
Younger kids, I think it's complete opposite.
Yeah.
I think younger kids, like, you get a 12, 13-year-old, the kid's lobbing it up there, and it looks like a watermelon. They just sit back, wait, stick their tongue out and let it go.
And hammer it.
Older kids always think there's a trick.
Yes.
They're tricking me. Like they're going to throw the fastball all of a sudden. It's going to be hard.
And it's this every single time.
So you really have to work on, like, I know when we face those pitchers from the kid we don't like that we're not going to name his name on the air, but like you have to tell them, we don't care what he throws. You're sitting on this pitch. He's going to throw this. He's going to throw his curveball at some point in this at bat. When you see it out of his hands, hit it 8 miles, and they do. And then he doesn't know what to do because regardless of how good pitchers are, it's like, did you see the video of Chapman throwing against Machado or whatever?
Got faster every pitch.
Besides that, like they show the last pitch, which I thought was in, by the way. They show the last pitch, but they didn't show like the 5 pitches he fouled off and just missed them, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a big difference.
That's the
it was an 8-pitch at bat. Like you can say what you want, and I mean he did throw like a 96-mile-an-hour slider, which was really gross.
Which is wrong. Don't do that.
Yeah. But besides all the other stuff, I mean, he just said, watch, I'm better than you. Here we go. And the thing is, if Machado's this much, this much on it, he's hit a freaking nuke.
Yeah, that's what's cruel to me. It's the miss, right?
Yeah, I mean, he missed one and went straight back.
Yes.
And it went right over the umpire's head. I was like, oh.
That ball's hammered.
Yeah, he missed that by that much, you know? And then the next pitch he's out on, and everyone's like, oh, what a great pitch. I thought, I don't know, man. You can look at it both ways.
You missed it 3 in a row. He threw 3 bad pitches prior to that.
I do respect the fact that he said, I'm not going to throw the slider again. Here's 105, and you can hit it, and you win.
Yeah. If you hit it, you win.
That.
Yeah.
But that's a 40-year-old pitcher who doesn't.
Yeah.
No offense, but he don't care if the Pirates win or not. Like, it doesn't matter to him.
No, he's up there throwing.
He's just up there throwing.
Yeah. Chapman's been around the block too.
Man, and he looks like.
What's his deal? Is he just too many injuries, or?
I don't know, man. He's been good.
He really hasn't. I think that what happens with him is you get a certain age, and I think they think there's no way he can keep throwing this way, and then he does. Yeah. So he goes from place to place because he just outlives his contract, right? Yeah. So he gets a 3-year deal with someone, and he does it 3 years, and they think, man, I'm not going to give a 34-year-old who throws 100. I'm not going to give him another 3 years. And he goes, well, someone will, and someone does. Then he throws 3 years with them. They're like, I can't give a 37-year-old, and it keeps going. And now he's like.
Now he's 40, still doing the same.
$3 million a year.
36 or 37.
I think he's 39.
Is he 39?
He's
but
old.
I don't know.
He looks like a comic book character.
Yeah, he's old. He's gray. He steers.
But like from neck down, dude looks like. I mean, he looked. We used to. You know him. That played at Carson Newman with Zach. Jay Griff.
Yeah.
That kid looked like like when he put a baseball uniform on, you were like, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what the uniform's supposed to look like on a baseball player.
We always tease Tom. We always joked with Lee about that. Like Lee, you look at Lee's team and you would look out there and go, oh yeah. Then you look at Thomas and go, why is that kid playing there?
Yeah, why is that kid playing short?
Yeah, he looked like he looked like a third baseman, but he looked like a baseball player.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those, you were like, huh. And that's the way that kid is. Like, you're like, huh. But that's the way all those guys are. Like, they're absolutely humongous.
Yeah.
Like, when you stand next to, it's like the Vogel kid who got coached for us, played for us, and got drafted. He's huge.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's 6'3", 210, 215.
I mean, Matty Bats.
Yeah.
Looks the part.
Yeah, they're just big people.
Yeah, looks the part.
The huge might get you into college, right? But I mean, past that point,
size. If you're gonna, when I coached football. So I coached football at Louisville for Schnellenberger back in the day, and when we recruited, he always said the same thing: if you're gonna miss big. If you're going to miss big, you're not going to bring in a 5'8" shortstop. If you're going to bring in a 6'2" shortstop and he sucks, okay.
Yeah.
Like, way to miss, right? Yeah. But if you bring in a 5'8" guy, you're getting fired.
And he sucks?
Yeah, you're getting fired.
Yeah. It's the big swing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you bring in Pedroia back in the day, right? You bring in Pedroia and everybody's like,
he was like a 34th round draft pick or some crazy crap. And that's what happens. Guys just drop. Because they don't look the part. They don't look the part. Yeah. Baseball is still very traditional, right? You know, you watch the movie Moneyball, and they're talking like, by the way, Billy Bean, God rest his soul, died. But they talk about, well, you know, his girlfriend's ugly or his girlfriend's good looking. They still do that.
Yes.
They still do that. They have, you know, 1,000 different metrics that say this kid's good, and it doesn't matter. Well, his girlfriend's ugly.
Yeah. He must not be, you know.
Is that going to change at some point, though? With the generational change?
I think? No.
You don't think so? Man, it's going to keep getting passed down?
I think something to that. There's something to the fact that it's just tradition. Like, it's tradition. Like, they just, you know, that's the thing about like movies, right? You watch movies about sports, there's truth in them. Right? Like, when you watch, right? You know, you watch Trouble with the Curve and the guy goes, I can hear him miss a swing. We were in Florida playing, and I was standing there with one of the Braves dudes, and we were watching an 18U game, and the kid hit and looked good to me, and he goes, won't hit the slider. Sure enough, the kid threw it. I mean, he saw 2 swings. Sure enough, the kid throws a slider, and the kid swings freaking over and threw it. And I looked at him, and he goes, nah. Okay,
there's
so,
something
you know,
to it.
Regardless of what else that kid could do that day, that guy called that pitch at that time. And I'm like, how did you do that? We watched like one at bat. So.
Well, I mean, at that point too, it's like this repetition where you've been there, done it, seen it.
Well, I tell people that all the time. Like, you know, Isaac will be doing a lesson. And he'll go, hey, can you help me a second? And I go, oh, he's doing this. But it's because, I mean, I see 30,000 swings a week for 50 years. So
good ones, bad ones, and everywhere in between.
At some point you go, oh, I know what he's doing, or I think I can do this, or we can do this.
Yeah.
Where, you know, guys that are just starting, that's the biggest thing. Like Matty Bats, Thomas, Vogel, those guys, they understand hitting probably better than me because they've done it more recently. But for them to look at a batter and go, oh, I know what's wrong with them, that's where the difficulty lies, because that really does take experience. That's why old guys like me can still make a living doing lessons.
Hey, do you think we should get Rocky introduced?
Get him in.
Are we really been on the air all this time?
Yeah.
I haven't said any bad words yet.
No, not yet.
We're waiting for it.
My wife said, do not say any bad words. I was like, I don't cuss that much. She's like, oh.
We can bleep you out. It's all good. Okay. Don't worry about it.
Right. I'm kind of hoping there's one, a good one.
There probably will be at some point.
Yeah.
So we want to introduce you, Rocky Zazzaro, right, with Blues Baseball Club. You want to give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Oh, I don't know. It's too long. I'm old. Once you get old, you know, there's not a lot of introduction. But
I know you're from Pittsburgh originally?
Grew up outside of Pittsburgh. I grew up in Greensburg, which is a whopping 4 miles from Latrobe, where the Steelers do their camp. Western Pennsylvania is a weird world. If I could have played baseball in the South, I think my life would have been a different trajectory.
Yeah.
Right. But up there, you know, football's king. You played football, you wrestled, you played baseball, you did this. And I went to school in Ohio at Worcester, where I was lucky enough to play football and baseball, and played for Coach Petterini, who's in the Hall of Fame. Joker he can coach. He was not You know, we joke in our
college
facility.
Hall of Fame, you're saying?
Oh yeah, he's in the ABCA Hall of Fame. You know, we joke and we say when you drive through the gates, it's 1976. Petterini and all the guys who coached me in Pennsylvania are why it's 1976 in our facility.
Yep.
Right? Because I think Petterini said, "Take your shit and get out of my dugout" like 100 times to me, just to prove a point to somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
I've heard that said in
go
one
out
of
the
Rocky's
dugout. He'd
dugouts.
call me in the dorm later. Hey man, I'm sorry. Come on back. We'll work it out. Like I'm like, I didn't even do anything.
Is that where you got the "you're cut" from, or you like to say "you're cut"?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He cut me every day. Like,
that is like
he
Rocky
cut me
is that
constantly.
right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm him right now. And the weird part is I thought Petterini was old when he coached me. And like, it just that he got the job when he was like 24. You know what I mean? So he was probably 40 when he coached me.
Yeah.
And now he's 65, right? 70. But like,
And he's still coaching?
And he just retired 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
And the new coach, well, Thomas went to the ABCA and saw Petterini get inducted and saw like the new Worcester coach. He's like, my dad went there. And they're like, oh no, we know. Like,
We know.
yeah, we got your picture. You got his picture on the wall. My picture for football's on the wall, right? And he's like, yeah, Petterini talks about him like it's his favorite son or something. I'm like, God, I sucked. I'm telling you all right now, both my sons were 10,000 times better baseball players than me. If I had to play today, I sucked.
Hey, let's get this out of the way. Which one's your favorite?
Which son?
Patrick or Thomas?
You're funny. Listen, I'll tell you where they rank them. So all my sons, so I have 2 biological sons. I have 12 sons or so that I take care of.
Yep.
Because however I collected them, right?
And not counting baseball players that play
Not
in the
counting
organization.
baseball players that play with me.
Yep.
So like Drew Vogel and Thomas fight over 1 and 2. Like they'll say, I'm 1. No, I'm 1. I got drafted. You're even though you're a college coach, I'm still drafted. And they put Patrick at 3 or 4 because he couldn't give me male grandchildren. And they tell him that. Well, if you gave him male grandchildren,
Patrick's
you'd
not
probably
done.
be 1.
Patrick might not be done.
That's what I said. I said, well, you never know.
Patrick's still trying.
So their order right now is
And you only have 1?
Thomas 1, Drew 2. Although that's switched for a little bit.
I would Patrick 1.
Well, Patrick's probably 1 just because, again, I love my grandchildren. It's easy.
Rocky, contrary to popular belief on people who have left the organization, Rocky loves kids of all ages.
Oh, absolutely.
Rocky loves kids. If you think Rocky doesn't love your kid, you're crazy.
Thank you, buddy.
So
I told your wife that upstairs. She locked your dog up. And I said, you don't have to lock the dog up. Dogs and kids love me. Everybody
Yes.
else, not so much so.
yeah, Rocky loves dogs, kids.
Yeah.
Once they hit a certain age. But yeah, I would go Patrick 1 because of the kids. Sorry, Tom.
No, you're perfect.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, what if Thomas has a boy first?
Ooh, that's tough. And Patrick's worried about that. Like we chat about that sometimes. He's like, hey, I'm like, nah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But it's funny. Patrick,
Thomas isn't married though, right?
No, he got to get a ring
He's
on
got.
it.
I got to get it. She's telling him too, boy. She's on his butt.
Yeah.
He. This is a good. Well, I'm gonna tell
Mallory?
it anyway. It's a good story. So my wife got worried that Mallory was going to jump ship, because there's no ring yet. So my wife took a ring that she had that I gave her back when we were like 30, and gave it to Thomas. And said, "Here, give this to Mallory." As like a promise ring, because Thomas was like, okay, Mom, and he kind of did what his mom said. And then Mallory told us how he did it. So Thomas goes, hey, my mom sent this ring. My mom sent this ring as a promise ring. Don't get any ideas yet, and handed her the ring. And if we break up, I want it back. That's what he told her.
That is
you are so romantic, Thomas.
classic Thomas.
Thomas, man.
Yeah. Mallory, don't leave him.
Yeah, no kidding. We like.
Did you
Mallory.
finish your introduction?
It doesn't
Little
matter.
bit.
Then
We're
I've
going.
coached. I mean, I did every job in a school system you can imagine. And then I coached in high school and college and did all that stuff. And then when I started the Blues because we lived in Crossville. And Thomas, at 4 years old, won the MVP trophy in the 8-year-old league. And I went, we probably need to do something different. So they were 5. We started this little travel team we called the Blues, and we kept it. And then when we moved here, we weren't going to ever, I was retired from travel ball coaching. And Bobby Patterson, a good friend of ours, I had coached Rob, who is old as Thomas and Isaac. And those guys were all moved on now, right? And he said, I want you to coach my youngest son. And I went, no. And he said, I'm going to build you a building. You can do lessons. You can coach this team. I said, no. And then he called me up and goes, hey, come up for dinner. I went up for dinner and there was a building. He goes, so you're going to coach this team, right? So I started to coach one team and had lessons. Then one team turned into 3 and 3 turned into 5. And then we got a new facility. And then COVID hit. And my executive principal at Laverne's like, hey, I'm going to retire. And I was like, well, if you retire, they're going to fire me. Like, they're going to move me. They won't let me stay.
They don't want this guy here.
Yeah. So I went, I'm just going to do it full time. And that's how we are where we are. So that's the story of me in the nutshell. But
And so that's been, 20 years? Or close
we've
to
done
it?
the Blues for like 22 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
20, yeah, going on. This is the 22nd season.
Gotcha. And it's all been at the same facility or same location?
No,
or
we were in
changed?
Crossville first, and we had 3 teams in Crossville. And then when I went to be the AD at Pope, we moved it over here. And I coached with Thomas on a couple of different teams that actually weren't Blues teams, but we grandfathered those kids in eventually because they just like us.
Yeah.
And then when Thomas was 15, I started the Blues with the Pattersons, and that's when it became the Blues that you guys know today. Okay. So that would be 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
And the Pattersons are...
They live in Cottontown, and they're the ones who built a building for me to make me have a travel team.
Okay.
Because
Is that Shane?
No.
Okay.
It's Bobby. It's Rob Patterson and his brother Alex are who I coached.
Gotcha.
And those are great. And we grew up with them and all that stuff. So they were 12 when we met, and saw them go through. Rob got a scholarship to Freed Hardman, and good stuff.
There's been a lot of ball players go through there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I we got a new website, and they were putting on all the kids that went to college, and they put on like 20, and then they said, "Can you, do you have more?" And I went, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, you going to put them on?" They showed me how to put them on because it's kind of time consuming. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I've been putting them on slowly and surely, but there's probably 80.
Yeah.
The team Thomas started with, when they were 12, there were 12 players, and all 12 players played in college. So that's kind of one of those you go, I must have done a little something right. But
So you did something right.
When did you stop coaching Thomas?
The last year I coached Thomas was 14.
14?
Which I
Okay.
recommend for any of you dad coaches out there. I recommend that somewhere around 13, 14, you go, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go to an organization that has challenges them, does real development, not the fake development you see around, but does real development and has real coaches know what they're doing. And then I don't have to coach my kid, because the worst thing ever is to be the bad guy with your kid.
Yep.
Let the coach be the bad guy. You be the guy who says, I love watching you play. You're doing great. Stay positive. Listen to your coaches. That's what you need to be.
I think Isaac told me a story one time, maybe in 12U, about you taking a glove away at some point.
Oh, we practiced without gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. I did
Rocky
it with
will do
their team.
everything.
Like
Yeah,
we
he did
did.
it with
We
our
do
team.
infield with that now sometimes when they really make me mad. Now we don't hit it 100 miles an hour. Isaac would like to tell you, and Thomas would like to tell you that I hit BBs at him without gloves
no
on. But that's
gloves.
not true.
I like to call them piss missiles.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch. But yeah,
Rocky stands by the take your kid, somewhere that challenges them, and until he looks at you sitting in his office, and you're like, "Hey, who'd you decide is going to coach our team?" And he goes, "You are."
well, at 18,
At 18, it runs itself.
They run themselves.
It runs itself.
Chad likes I coached that team. All he did was write the lineup.
I wrote the
down
lineup
that they gave him. My favorite story of that is Caleb Fike.
Yeah.
Is a PO. He's going to Dyersburg as a
pitch.
PO.
Yeah.
He told Chad, "No, I lead off every game." Chad let him off.
I'm like, "All right, bro."
He's a PO. He can't hit worth a crap. And here's
Caleb.
Chad. I'm like, "Why is Fike leading off?" Well, he told me he's your lead off.
He's
Shit, he ain't no lead
He
off.
ain't no lead off. Hey, but you give me a team full of Caleb Fikes.
Oh, you'd be all right. They're Bulldogs.
They're
Bulldogs.
You're Bulldogs. Yeah. But it was one of the most fun baseball summers we've
Well, I
ever
told
had.
you it would be, because
Yeah.
they don't.
We had a
at,
blast.
At 18, they're at the point now where they're just playing for the reps.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't care if they win or lose, which is a good thing, actually. I'd say that to people all the time. Like, I don't care if we win or lose. They get mad at me. Only parents care if you win or
Yeah.
lose.
That's right.
Truthfully, kids understand the game better than parents. Even at 12, kids understand that someone's got to win a game and someone's got to lose a game. And sometimes they don't have any control over how that happens.
That's right.
And so parents are the ones like, I can't believe we lost the game. We lost 2-1.
Yeah.
The kid put a good swing. We walked the kid. He stole second. He put a good swing on. They scored. Okay. You win just as many games like that as you lose. So it's like
it works out. It comes
all
out.
works out.
Or you faced an absolute buzzsaw, right? Like you faced this guy.
Like when the Atlanta Braves scout team threw the junior in college.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You're probably going to lose.
94, we're probably going to lose. I laughed.
You're probably going to lose.
I heard that was happening as it happened. I was like, ooh, I watched it on Game Changer from the dugout because I knew we were going to get abused.
It was bad. It's like,
But there's a big difference.
So what would you say to the young travel ball parents or parents looking to get into travel ball for their kids that are just thinking about winning?
That's a good
like,
one.
They're in the wrong sport.
Yeah.
It's the wrong sport. You know, if you get into baseball and you think I'm going to get into youth baseball and we're going to do this and we're going to win, you know, you're wrong, because that's really not. If you worry about that, you're never going to win.
Yeah.
If you worry about it and you start strategizing, my favorite word for those guys, about how to win, you're in trouble. If you are a young parent, if I were a 9 and 10-year-old parent all over again, excuse me, and I didn't know anything about baseball, so I had to farm it out, I would listen to people like Chad or whoever who have been through it to tell me which organizations really worry about your kid. Like, not even like, we'll talk about development in a second, but not really about development. Who loves your kid, right? And that's the hardest things when kids leave us.
Yep.
Like Patrick had a kid leave. Patrick's soft, way softer than Thomas.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Patrick had a kid who he coached since he was like 9. He might have started lessons with him at like 7. Kid was a good catcher. Patrick worked with all our catchers. And the kid was like 13 years old and like, I want to go somewhere bigger and better, and you guys aren't big and good enough for me. And like Patrick got tears in his eyes because he's like, man, I've coached that kid for 5 years. Like, and it's just ending like, you know, and it ends in a snap, like you're done.
Yeah.
And parents like go, oh, well, we're moving on. Well, yeah, but we've invested 5 years in your kid. We love your kid. And it's like getting a divorce, right? The kid leaves and it's like, you don't even get weekend rights, right?
Yeah.
You never see them. They're gone, you know? And parents don't think that because, I don't know, in our world today, in our baseball world today, and it's worse the older you get, there are collectors and developers. And then there are the people in the middle that lie. Because if you are in youth sports, if you want to be successful, you have to lie, which is why I'm a terrible businessman. And I've told you all that before, because I can't lie. I want to lie. I think about it. I think, man, I could tell this guy whatever and he'll believe me. And I want to lie. He'll pay, but I can't do it, right? And so what happens is those guys that are collectors, they sell something to parents, right? It was funny, I was talking to another travel ball guy who owns another travel ball organization. He's like, man, I'm losing teams to this national brand. And he said, they're talking about development. He said, they don't have a facility. They don't have fields. What they do is they say, we're going to send you a PowerPoint and some videos. And if you and your dad follow these, you'll be a college player. What a lie. What a crock. There's no way. There's no way in hell. Right? First of all, they're 9 and 10 years old. So let's face it. Do you remember your child at 9 and 10 years old?
Yeah, it was recent, 2-3 years ago.
That's right.
Not the same player he is right now.
How much growth did he experience?
A ton.
It's exponential.
Yeah.
Right? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? Because at 9 years old, he tripped half the time he ran. Like, he was big and a little bit clumsy, and his swing was okay. He didn't throw it but it didn't matter, right? Because
because you're 9 or 10 years old.
You're 9 or 10 years old.
Right.
There's no correlation between how good you are. Like, you see those guys in the League World Series coming up, and parents will be like, man, that kid will be in the pros. No, he won't.
No.
There's no correlation between how good you are at 12 and how good you are at 17. Zero.
None.
Right.
And my good friend Dylan Potteroff, Big D, if you're out there, best 12-year-old player I ever played against. And he played for us. I coached him. After that, I coached him at 13 and 14. At 12 years old, he was so good that one time we were playing them in Gallatin. They had bases loaded with 2 outs, and Dylan came up, and we were up 3 runs, and I walked him intentionally. I put him on base, they scored 1, and I struck the next kid out. And that's how we won the game, and his dad went nuts. And I went,
sorry, buddy.
Sorry, man, I'm not letting him hit a grand slam and beat me in the bottom of the 6th, because he'd already hit 12 home runs for the weekend. Like, there was no reason. Unfortunately for Dylan, at 12, he was as big and strong as he was ever going to get.
Yeah.
And he played at Station Camp with Tom. He was a good high school player.
He was good, yeah.
He played for us, played, with our stuff. Good high school player, but, when he hit 16, he was completely developed, and he'll tell you that.
Yep.
Right? He's a great kid. I wish he would come back and coach a little bit more for me. He coached for us for a while. Real life got involved. He's a great kid, loves kids, good person. But at some point, you're done. You're done developing.
Yeah.
So when you see some of those 12-year-olds and they're hitting and they got a beard and mustache, you got to go, hey, maybe, I am 12. Maybe that's not the best thing. So
it's also a good reminder that the kid that's 12, that's maybe the 6th best player on the team.
Right.
They're not done
or
either.
the 10th best player on the team.
They're not done either.
Well, and that's a good point. How do you keep that 12-year-old who is maybe down on himself because he's not the best player to stay in the game? Because you don't know how he's going to develop.
Yeah, love.
He's got to have the love.
Got
to have the love. And you got to, I don't know that the work has to be fun, but like you've got to teach the work, like the reward of the work. Like it's not just the game that's the reward, right? Like success in the game is not the only reward. Like that can't be the only reward.
You got to start feeling good from putting in the grind.
Yes.
Right. So your child is just a good example, right? Because he never really, even when he wasn't very good, it wasn't like we ever said, oh, you suck, right? We didn't say, oh, you're not this, you're not that. We never said that. Like we tell our coaches, when you see those kids that are in the bottom or a little bit clumsy or not quite there yet athletically, you got to find something every day to convince those kids that they're still a good baseball player, right? So one hit.
Yep.
I need one hit. Some of those kids on that 13-year-old team, you look at, they were all taking BP last night off the hit tracks, and you'd have thought it was the World Series, right? Because we do get them to compete, and we do talk a little crap. Well,
and
I
they
talk
should.
a little crap. I walk in, I talk crap, and then I leave to let it fester, right? And then I come back, and I do it again just to make fun. But you look at it, you got Nolan in there, and he's probably, 5'8", 5'9"?
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah, 160 pounds. And then you got Carter Poland.
Yep.
He's 5 foot nothing, 100, not even 100. I bet you weighs 60 pounds.
Yep.
Right? So when kid like that, who's a great kid, I love him to death, when he gets a hit, man, you want to talk about celebrating it.
Yes.
And when Nolan was 9 or 10, we did the same thing to him.
Yes.
Now Nolan at 12, 13, when Nolan gets a single, I say, dude, you couldn't find a way to get on second? That's all you got? You got to get on second.
You couldn't find a barrel?
Yeah, now he hit the ball 80 miles an hour off the bat, but it doesn't matter. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You got to find a gap. You know what I mean? So there's different motivation depending on their ability level. And that kind of love is where they go. And then I think with kids today, if you're going to look for an organization, and I'm not saying we do everything right because we don't, but if we did, if you look at an organization that would do everything right, look for the guys that see a kid struggling and send them off.
Yeah.
So Nolan, maybe he's not, or one of those other kids, they're not doing well, right? It's nothing for Isaac or me or whoever to go, hey, go work with Matty Batts in a cage by yourself for a little bit. Even though it's a team or group practice, right? That's what we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that's, if you're going to look for something like people talk about development, there's a couple things that you got to know. One, no one's ever developed without a coach. No one's ever done it on their own. And I don't care what sport it is, right? I love to think I'm a good golfer. I am not. And I'm not a good golfer because I don't know what my swing looks like. I just hit it.
Same.
Right? Same, everybody, right?
Like Chad doesn't like golf.
That's because he sucks at it. And we,
So
Probably.
yeah.
No, I
But
think
if you went to a golf coach,
Yeah.
every day you would get considerably better because that guy knows what you're doing. He sees your swing. He does all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. Like if you look, there's always a coach involved. Like you watch the Olympics and those guys win the gold medal or those girls
Coach's
win the gold
front
medal.
row.
Yeah, they go hug their parents and they go hug their coach because they know that's what happens.
Yep.
So if you're a young parent and you're looking for the development, find the guy who loves your kid that has the ability to look at your kid and go, oh, we can make him better because no one knows what an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old is going to be when they're 15 and 16.
That's right.
No one. So find that guy. So you need a good coach and you need somewhere to do it.
Yep.
My favorite thing with these national guys is, we're going to develop you. But you don't have a field. You don't have a facility. So how are you going to do that? Like, are you meeting all your kids at the park every night? Because that's what, and there are some guys out there that do a great job. Like it's not, we have not cornered the market on doing a great job, right? And I think sometimes we suck, but you've got to keep working toward that goal of what is development. How good are our kids getting? Do our kids go from here to here? And when you don't have a place and you don't have a coach and you don't like, you can't do it. Like there's nothing like, I'm going to send you a video.
Yeah, you
like,
can't do that.
I think videos, like I have a firm belief in this, right? I call some of you dads the YouTube coach. Right? You go online, you watch a YouTube video. Next thing I know, you're out there doing that drill. And I go, you think they know what that drill really does?
Yeah.
Because half the people don't. They just do the drill.
They just saw it.
I accuse some of my coaches of that. I'll be like, hey, man, did you see that on YouTube last night? Yeah. Well, let's not do it until we know why we're doing it.
Let's figure it out first.
Yeah, let's figure it out first.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the development that the Blues does, right, and how you guys focus on development is a differentiator, I believe, because most of the travel organizations are about winning, like I mentioned, right? And
they're collectors.
A lot of parents do judge where they're going to go based on winning rings and championships.
Watch
right?
freaking Facebook on Sunday evening during a youth baseball seaon.
Yeah, see how many parents are, oh, my kid won this.
Yeah, there is a $5
like,
ring everywhere.
Oh, they're about $1.23.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like,
so how do you convince the parent that is on is on the edge about coming to an organization that's development first, but they're seeing this other team, oh, I can win more over here? What do you say in that instance? Do you say anything? You just let them make a decision?
I don't.
Man, Rocky,
because you really can't.
There's no. If I convince them, then I'm selling them.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy.
And they didn't want to be there to begin with.
Right. Our teams on the whole last year, like we do the whole record, right?
Yep.
And our teams on the whole won about 72% of their games.
And our team was 500. So
yeah. We got a couple five. Now, granted, the 41 5 and 2 team helped that percentage go up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But most of the time, our teams win about 60 to 65% of their games minimum. So, you'll have a team that, none of our teams, I think we had one team below 500.
Yeah.
Right. So most of our teams are right in there, but that's not really what parents want. Right. And that's what I was talking to Josh Rennick, who runs Blueprint. Right. We're buddies, and he runs Blueprint down in Murfreesboro, and he's like, I'm getting squeezed out by these these bigger organizations because it seems to me parents think that there's always something better.
Yes.
And there's not. There's not. The reason those bigger organizations are coming to Nashville is because it's a business model. They're not stupid.
Yes.
Right? They're expanding their brand in an area that has money.
Yep.
So if they have money, that's where we want to be because people will pay for the product, right? So what product do you give? That's the real question, right? And that's what I tell people. Like, if you think our product's bad, like if I call Domino's and I order a pizza, the pizza's terrible. I mean, I might give them one more chance, but eventually I stop ordering Domino's.
Right.
So when parents call and say stuff, I go, stop buying the pizza, fire the plumber.
That's right.
Right? I mean, if we're doing it bad, we'll try to fix it if you tell me. But a lot of the times they want me to fix stuff that's not tangible. I can't make your child better than the 8-hole hitter in the lineup.
Yep.
Regardless of what you think, right now that's where he should be. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why. I had a talk with a 16-year-old dad yesterday who he makes me a little nuts sometimes. But, he's like, well, my kid's a little upset because he hit 8 or 9 all year. I said, yeah. He said, well, why'd he hit 8 or 9 all year? I said, well, at the beginning of the year, he batted 140.
Yep.
But I batted him every game, right? He goes, yeah, but he ended the year at 360. Yes, I know. And he ended the year at 360 or 370 in the 8 or 9 hole.
Yep.
Where he saw fastballs and where he could sit fastball, where he didn't have to worry about, put him in the 2-hole, 3-hole, see what happens.
They're going to pitch you different.
And I said, it's not like he's a speed demon and he can walk and get on first and get to second. I said, we have to find ways to get. So in baseball, in older baseball, you want to find a way to get a kid to second. That's the goal. That's why I make fun of Nolan all the time, right? Nolan's not stealing a base, so he better hit a double.
Yeah, get there.
Because we can score from second, right?
Yes.
That's what colleges, pro guys look at. How can I get that guy to second? Because we can score him from second.
Yep. Yeah.
We can't score him from first, right?
Right.
So if you're not really fast, we got to look for guys. We want you to put in the gap. We want you to find a way to get to second base. So with that kid, he's a really good hitter, but he's a 7'160" kid. He's not going to steal a whole lot of bases. He's a good base runner, but he's not going to steal a lot of bases. So I'd rather keep him down in the 7, 8, 9 hole, give him a chance to see a fastball, hit it in the gap, get the second.
And be there.
Be there, score runs. The 6-hole guy gets on base, score runs.
Yep.
So we had this whole conversation, and Dad was like, and I thought, well, that's why That's why you pay me. Like,
I think
right? Because a college doesn't care. Like a college looks at that. They don't care. They don't care who the 1 hole is and who the 10 hole is. Doesn't matter to them. They're looking at the swing. They're looking at the stuff they can actually see when they come to watch a game.
And they're also, as much as they're looking, I think that's one thing that I have learned, and I guess we got a little bit of a appetizer with it. Haley and I did seeing Zach, right?
Yeah.
So we got a little preview and saw a kid go through all the travel ball, go through high school baseball, go through college. So we kind of had an idea of what it should look like, right? Well, a lot of parents at 8 or 9 years old think their kid is playing college baseball. And they watch the College World Series and they watch the Vols or whoever, right? I had to throw it in there.
I know, I got it.
I mean, we won this year.
I know. Congratulations, by the way. You had a big part in that, big role in that.
I did.
I know you did.
The beers that I drank on the back porch, cheering them on.
That's it.
There was a lot of times on that back porch that I got really superstitious, and I think it helped.
Well, no, it does help. I'm with you.
I think it did. I've seen Thomas do some
You
things.
didn't walk out on the cracks when you were going back and forth.
Oh, it was there was a lot going on. But a lot of these parents are like, they see that and they want their kid to get there, and they think there is this misconception that my kid is getting all of his college paid for. He's getting all of this paid for. He's getting all of this because he's playing college baseball. And I'm here to tell you, even the best players are not given that.
So the NCAA changed the rule now, right? So they went and they changed the scholarship rule. And so incredibly, it's still up to the college.
Yep.
Right? So only D1 schools changed the scholarship rules. So they went from 41 on the fall roster to 34. To the 34, 31 get a full ride if they're on the 31-man roster, which is incredible.
Yep.
The trouble is only the Power 5 guys have the money to do it.
Yes.
The rest of them are going to be somewhere between the 11.75 now and the 31, which is great. Still good for college baseball. It's the reason they do it that everyone doesn't understand. And so first of all 9 and 10-year-old parents think their kids are the best kids ever and that they're already in college. And they don't understand that. And I tell our older kids this. Like, I tell her, how many Johnnies do you think there are? Because you're the one Johnny on our team, but we played 50 games this summer. In 50 games, we saw 50 Johnnies.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so there's that many Johnnies out there. So if you do something silly, you're off that list anyway.
Yep.
The idea that a 10-year-old, it's like playing in the big national tournaments like Perfect Game or PBR at 10, 11, 12 years old.
It makes no sense.
I want them to have a Perfect Game profile. Well, why? Like, they're not recruiting our 16s yet. Mm-mm. And the reason they're not recruiting our 16s yet is why the NCAA changed the rules, right? So the NCAA changed the rules because there are 3,000 kids in the portal.
Yep.
And they went from 40-man rosters to 34-man rosters, really 41 to 34, I think. But 6 or 7 players now can't be on the fall roster. Mm-hmm. So there's 3,000 kids in the portal.
Supply and demand.
7 kids off the roster.
Like in the portal from JUCO and other...
Everywhere. So in the NCAA, if you enter the transfer portal in all the sports, you can transfer to any other school without penalty.
Yep.
Okay? So there's 3,000 kids in the portal. So if you have a choice between taking an 18-year-old kid who's 6 foot $160,
give me the grown man,
or a 22-year-old guy who's 6 foot 210, who do you take? Well, I want to win. I'm going to take the older kid.
Who's already seen 2 or 3 years of college pitching.
Who's already seen 2 or 3 years of college pitching. So they take that. But the NCAA doesn't actually like that because, again, it's still about how many people you have in the system, right? So at some point, you lose them.
Yep.
So there's not going to be enough players in the system. So there wouldn't be a transfer portal. That's why the NCAA changed the rule. They really want to limit the transfer portal. And they're more apt to do that when kids know, I'm taking a big chance going from, I'm going to transfer out of UT, right? But maybe I'm not going to get picked up. If I don't get picked up, I'm out of baseball.
Yep.
Right? And so basically what they've done is they've created a funnel, right? You got this many kids in the portal, but only this many kids are going to get picked up. All the other parts in here, those kids are just done with baseball.
It's a weird time to have a 16, 17, 18-year-old.
It is.
Right
and
now.
It's really hard to get them. And the thing, I tell parents this all the time. Like, they'll say, what showcase should I go to? What should I say? Pick 5 colleges that you think your kid wants to go to.
Yeah.
Go to those prospect camps.
Not to pat Rocky on the back again, but I would tell you from my experience, it has, I don't want to say high school baseball, it doesn't matter because it does matter, but where you play high school baseball, it's not that big a deal to a college at all.
No, they just want the reps.
Where you play summer baseball is not that big a deal. It's the relationship that those I would urge people to find an organization to play with that the head of the organization or people in that organization have relationships with universities where their kid fits, right?
Right.
So if my kid is a Division II, Division III player, I want somebody in that organization to have great relationships there. I want if my kid's a D1 player, I want to know that there's a pipeline somewhere. Because that college coach, he's coaching baseball while your kid's playing high school baseball.
Can't you get there on your own these days, though, with social media and all the portals and everything?
Well, listen, here's the thing.
Here's
That's
the problem
fake.
with social media.
It's fake.
It's not true.
It's not true. It's fake. But when Rocky calls a coach at a Division II school in Tennessee and says, hey, I got this kid. He's worth looking at. You're going to get the benefit of the doubt. And the coach is going to say, let's take a look at him.
Yeah.
What is he?
Send him to prospect camp, or I'm coming to see you guys play here, or whatever it is.
What is he? Tell me about the kid. What's his family like?
You know, the first question they asked me, this is weird now with the NCAA portal stuff, but the first question they asked me is, how long have you had him?
That's it. Yeah, baby.
First question, how long have you had him? So like with my 16s, I think I have 17 kids on my 16U team with pitchers and everybody. And I've had 8 or 9 of them since they were 9 years old. So, man, those kids are easy to sell. Well, I've had them forever. I've had them since he was like little.
Yeah.
They go, serious? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, they're going to stay put. Yeah, they're pretty loyal people. They had chances to go. Because all my kids, that's what this time of year, that's what the collectors do, right? This time of year, I'm in a battle all the time because they will DM all my kids and say, come play for me. We're a national organization. We're going to put you on this all-star team. We're going to do this, do this, do this. None of that means anything. Because the truth is, if you look and see where your kids go, rarely do your kids go outside of a 4 or 5 hour circle from your house. Rarely do they go there. Whether they want to or not, that's kind of the circle.
That's where they're going.
And so you look at that, and the goal for us is, you know, we're going to find a school for the kid. If they want to play, we'll try our best to find you a school, right? If you're good enough, you can play in college. We'll find a school for you. But like, you got to tell me where you want to go.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
If you look at me and go, I want to go to school in California, I'm probably not the right organization for you, because I only know a few guys out there just because they were here and then they moved. Yeah. Right. But it's hard to do that. Like it's really hard to do that. But if you say, I want to go to school in Tennessee, I mean, I think there's 43 baseball playing colleges and JUCOs in Tennessee. Yeah. And I would guess that we could probably find, either I know someone or can find someone who knows someone. That's even the other part.
That's the other part.
Right. To say, yeah, hey man, you know the guy at Rhodes D3 school in Memphis. You know that guy, right? Yeah. Will you call him for me or give me his number and introduce me? Right. So he'll send a text. Hey coach, this is Rocky. I got you both on a text. He's got a kid who's looking for a D3 school, really good player. Will you talk to him? It's really that easy. Right. Because that's how they do it. But my thing is too, is like, you know, we'll take Baylor. Baylor says, suddenly he changes his mind. I keep hoping. He says, I want to play baseball. Right. And I say, okay, well, you're going to, you know, you fit into that lower D2, D3 model. Yep. So let's find you a place to go. Where would you like to go? What schools do you like? And then Baylor looks around. We make Baylor look around. He goes, well, I could see myself at Swanee. I could see myself at Rhodes, maybe Hanover, maybe Center. You know, they're all pretty close to home. Yep. I made Thomas do it. I mean, Thomas was pretty heavily recruited, but I said, hey man, you got to draw. He drew a 4-hour circle south, by the way, nothing north.
Yeah, he don't want cold.
South around our house, and said, I'm going to go to school in that 4-hour circle. And he looked at all those schools, and I said, okay, well, you know, you need to let people know that. And like Northwestern called and offered him a scholarship, like the first day you could offer. Northwestern called and he said, Coach, I don't want to waste your time, buddy. I'm not coming to Chicago. I can't stand cold.
It's cold up there, baby.
That's a good offer.
Oh yeah, and I looked at him. What? I'm pissed off, right?
You're an idiot, Tom.
And then he got done. I went, kind of respect that a little bit, right?
Yeah,
he could have played that on. And back then, and that's the other thing I wouldn't let my kids do is, that was in the dawn of Twitter, I guess. I can't stand it when they tweet out, blessed to get the offer from.
To the offer from.
Right. And they do that because kids think that that's going to make other colleges offer them. Mm-hmm. It has the complete adverse effect, right? Other colleges go, oh, he's trying to set me up. He's baiting me.
Yep.
It's like when kids post their own stuff. Like you'll see kids who post their own stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I threw 80 or I threw 90 or I threw whatever. Well, prove it. Because that's what colleges want to know. Prove it. That's what I want to know. I say it all the time. Like, you didn't throw 90.
Throw it. Let's see it.
Throw it. Let's see it.
Yeah. Well, I know in the college recruiting world for soccer, because we're starting to go through it with my daughter, it's all about trying to get your name out there from an email communication standpoint to the coaches and coaching staff first. But if you're going to say that, right, you got to be able to back it up.
Well, I know
video content.
Yeah,
or,
and that's
or
that's what I was going to say.
Right?
Like, so and the video content has to be believable.
Yeah.
Right. I know a place where you can go and you can do pitching, and they'll put the radar gun up there and they'll show the kid throwing the ball, and it'll be like 94. Right. But we played the kid, and the highest he ever got was 86. Yeah. Right. Well, it's because every once in a while they'll take that video with the kid throwing a 3-ounce ball or a 4-ounce ball. Yeah. And the velo will be higher, but the ball's white. It looks the same from the video. Yep. Right. And so everyone's like, oh, he must throw it. Well, no, there's a way to cheat that. We don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't cheat that, because eventually you're going to be asked to do it. Like,
you'll be found out.
Remember when we were talking earlier about tradition, how I met the good-looking girlfriend thing? Yeah. Colleges still aren't going to take you on the stuff that data alone. They want to see you.
You got to pass the eye test.
So when they're out there and they go, okay, well, look, this kid throws 92. He's pitching in this game. Let's go see him. And they're out there with a gun and you're throwing 83, 84. They're like, well, where's the 90? Then all of a sudden you're definitely off the list because they think you lied.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I tell all the kids, tell the truth. Downplay what you do.
Yep.
Downplay what you do.
Yep.
We have a really good 16-year-old pitcher that has definitely hit 87 on occasion. He's realistically an 83, 84 guy.
Yeah.
I tell everyone he's 83, 84 right now. Now, for me, if you're 16 and you're 83, 84, that means when you're 18, you're going to hit 90.
Yep.
You should be all right. If your development stays the same, you're going to hit 90. And I always tell coaches that. I'm like, if you're looking for a guy that throws 90 at 16, do it, but he won't be around when he's 18. Mm-hmm. So figure it out. I'd rather have the guy who's slow and steady, makes those gains, and still has arm enough and UCL enough to pitch in college. Good but stuff. Videos too, like that's the one thing that I think we're going to delve more into this fall for us is doing some cut-ups and some videos of our kids playing.
It's smart.
And send out the emails to everybody, which we've done in the past, but I think I'm going to do it because I have just so many of those 16 going to be 17s that can play in college. Like it's a really good team.
Yeah.
We want to make sure if they want to play in college, they get that opportunity.
Yeah.
But like, we were talking about scholarship-wise. Like D2s, they're not changing.
Yeah.
Right? They haven't been told they can change yet, nor do I think they have the money to change. Most D2s still play on the NAIA model of you need to have 35 kids on the team because if you don't, the school's not going to have enough kids to afford you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the NAIA model, and I don't mind that at all. Like I have some kids, and I tell them, hey, you're going to get a JV offer from an NAIA school, and you're going to go and you're going to play your baseball in the fall. And hopefully you progress enough that when you're a junior, you get to play baseball in the spring. That should be your goal.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not ready yet. So instead of going JUCO, right, you're going to go to an NAIA school. You're going to go to Cumberland. You're going to play on the JV team for 2 years. You're going to get really good, and they'll eventually move you up. Elijah Verge.
Yeah.
Right? Elijah Verge went to Georgetown, Kentucky. That's where Patrick went. He went there. He was a JV player. Played in the fall. Coach called me and went, man, he's playing great. Someone put him on the roster. Put him on the roster for the spring, played a little bit. He called me up. He's like, Coach, I played a little bit. I said, don't worry about it.
That's a success.
We went in thinking you were a JV player. You had 2 years to get better before you played. You're up by a year. Yep. Just keep working hard, right? And you'll be on their travel roster as a sophomore, and that's what you need to be.
Yeah, you're ahead of schedule.
That's what Patrick did. Patrick was a JV catcher he was the bullpen catcher for 2 years, and all of a sudden his third year is like, let's make Patrick the third catcher.
Yeah,
right?
give him a
Let's
shot.
give him that's what you should. That's your goal. That's how hard you should work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
12U ball or 16U ball, Rocky? What do you like better?
I really like 12U baseball because it's the last fun year.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the last fun year. It's the last year where you're 12 feet away from the kid.
Yeah.
You know, you're not in the dugout screaming where everyone can hear you. Like you're right there.
Yeah.
And parents have more fun because the field's way too small for the kid.
It's way too small.
Way too small for the kid. Like 12-year-olds should really, 12 and 13-year-olds should play 54-80.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking too when we were in Cooperstown a couple weeks ago. I'm like, they built this ballpark before
home runs,
before kids maybe got too big. I don't know, or the bat
and
technology.
It's about bats.
The bat
technology
has a lot to do with
because
it.
And the truth is, kids today are way bigger than they were 15, 20
They're
years
bigger
ago.
and they're better. They're more specialized. Like yes. Yeah. They could move the fence back 30 feet all the way around
They could make,
Cooperstown.
I think the 12-year-olds, realistic 12-year-olds who go to Cooperstown should play 54-80, and the field should be 275 the whole way around, or 300 the whole way around.
Because they're still hitting
Right?
them out.
They're still hitting home runs. They're still hitting. Your kid hits the ball 300 feet.
Yeah.
Especially with the drop five, flipping frost, whatever you call it, you're swinging.
Neon jumper bat, whatever it is.
Isaac took a swing with Matty Bats. Matty Bats took a swing with the bat the other night.
Yeah.
It was like 120 off the barrel.
off of Nolan's bat.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but imagine that.
Put that away, kid.
Yeah, put that away. Like, you know, so I think I think they just need a bigger field, but as 12-year-old, it's fun.
But it's fun.
And parents have fun. Like it's a fast game. It's a fun game.
2 worst years. Two least favorite years.
9 and 13.
Yes. We talk about this all the time.
9-year-olds, they don't know how to pitch. They don't know how to run
It's
bases.
awful. Walk
it's
fest.
terrible. Walk fest. Ball goes by the catcher.
Yeah.
Kid gets on first base. He scores.
Yes.
13-year-old is very similar, although it's getting better because kids are getting bigger.
Yes.
And so they're able to pitch better from it.
But it's almost that walk fest.
It's bad.
Like,
I really think in 13-year-old baseball, like in JV middle school baseball, same way.
Yes.
You should keep score by how many people you walk.
yes.
If you walk a kid and he gets the first, that's 1. Just get off the bases.
It could almost be done like golf, right?
Yeah.
The lowest score wins.
Like
Least amount of walks.
least amount of walks wins, because that's normally what happens.
Yeah.
As far as a coach goes, there is absolutely more gratification to see a kid at 16 or 17 that can now play.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, there are some kids at 12 that, you know, weren't very good. Now at 16, 17, they're players, and that's exciting there.
Yeah.
And it's more baseball, and it's, you know,
At what age do you see the biggest influx of kids coming in?
13.
13?
Yeah.
And
And it should be.
And that's because a lot of them are playing Little League or rec ball.
Little League, rec ball, dad ball teams. Some dads realize after 12 that the fun's over and there's too much to teach at 13, 14, 15, 16, and there's pressure.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the national organizations that we were laughing about the other day, right? Is that we, like Rennick, me, guys who we take, I mean, I fret, I worry at night over if my kids that are older are going to get a chance to play in college.
Yeah.
Right? Those national guys,
They don't care.
they're taking your $3,000, $3,500, your uniform package, and they don't care less, you know.
And you're worrying about that at
I worry
16
about that
17
15-year-olds.
15-year-olds?
Yeah, especially I think Rocky worries about it. I mean, he'd tell me I'm wrong, but Rocky worries about it because he worries about he wants the kid to get what the kid wants.
Yeah, like it's not about success at all. Because I mean, be honest with you, I mean, you're gonna make you guys are very successful, right? NexGen's very successful. You probably if you make 3/4 of your clients happy, you're doing well.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're the same way. But my thing is that it's the hardest conversation you can have being me is when you got to look at that 17-year-old or 18-year-old and go, man, I've tried. They just don't want you yet.
Yeah.
You're not ready yet. Let's look for some other choice or whatever. Like it's hard. Or when some kids are good high school players and they're never, and I tell them, like I tell parents from the get-go, you play travel baseball for 2 reasons at 15, 16, 17, 18. The first reason should be, and the foremost should be that, well, 3. The first and foremost should be, I love the game. I want to play it all the time.
That's it.
Second is, I want to be a good high school player. When you talked about high school baseball matters because it's about pride.
That's what matters.
Every
about
kid
it.
should play on their high school team because it's about pride and bragging rights.
Yep.
There should be, Gallatin should want to beat the fool out of Station Camp and Beach every year,
Yep.
whether they're good enough or not. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's about pride, right?
Yeah.
And then the third reason is, maybe I can play at the next level. And I don't think level matters. Like Thomas had D1 offers and went to a D2 school because he thought it was a better fit for him, which I thought was really mature, which was odd for Thomas.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was odd for Thomas. But it was good, right? I don't think it matters because I think that if you're good enough and you're really good and you get a chance to play in the pro game, they're going to find you.
they'll find you.
They'll find you. You know, I mean, Drew Vogel went to Murray State, a mid-major. You know, the Workman kid who was Thomas's roommate at Lee was a D2 pitcher.
Yeah.
You know, there's D3 guys that get drafted.
If you got it, you got it.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So go to a school that fits you. You know, we had a big kid on the 16 Rising 17 team, and Princeton loves him. You know, and the dad's like, I don't know, maybe he could go. I'm like, no, it's Princeton. He's going to go to an Ivy League school and play baseball.
Go.
If he's good enough to go pro, they'll draft him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. He's going to be something way better than a baseball player. Like you'll get to be a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief. You're going to be something way better.
Something cool.
Yeah.
Is it too late for me to start baseball?
Yeah.
No, man, I got you.
Yeah.
You come on in.
You know, I think part of that too is it's the go where you can play.
Yeah, go and enjoy it. Like the biggest mistake kids have, I think, is like, oh, I'm D1 or nothing. Well, don't be that way.
Yes.
Like go find a spot that suits you, play, be really good, and see what happens. Blossom where you're planted.
I mean, it was, Zach's a prime example as well. He goes to Carson Newman and starts all 4 years, hits somewhere 3, 4, 5 in the lineup, has a great college career. He could have easily have gone to a D1 school and sat for 3 years.
Or got cut.
Or
not liked it because he wasn't playing. And
like there's all these scenarios. Man, go where you can play.
Yeah, go and you enjoy it. Make sure you like the school.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like the school, you're not gonna do well with baseball.
Like the school, like the area.
Yep. Let everything else happen.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about getting into travel ball for more development, more reps. But do you think, and you mentioned most of them funneling in at 13U, do you think there's a benefit to a 9 or 10-year-old playing travel ball versus rec or little league, let's say? Is it
okay? So this is going to shock all of the people. So I'm going to go ahead and shock.
This is a hot topic too.
I don't think there is.
Yeah.
I think if I were a 9 and 10-year-old parent, this is for all my 9 and 10-year-old parents would probably quit my team the next day. What I would do if I had a 9 and 10-year-old player and I didn't know anything about baseball, if you didn't want to play travel, I still would have the child. If he liked baseball, wanted to be a baseball player, he still has to get proper instruction.
Yeah.
So if you want to play, like we let our 9, 10, 11, and 12s play in a league if they want to play in and still play travel. The idea of playing travel for us is we're going to coach your kid. So there's a lot of different ways to run an organization, but like our 9 through 12s, and you know this, we practice 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Right. So if I were a guy and I'm like, hey, I don't really want to play travel. That's kind of a lot on us. We want to play in the league. I'd say play in the league.
Yeah, do it.
Make sure you come in for 2 lessons a week.
Yep.
Because you're the guy who coaches in the league, and there's a lot of great dads out there that know the game and coach in the league. They're tremendous. They're great. Right. That's how I started. Right. I coached Patrick and Thomas in Crossville, and it was great. But there's some point where they just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And even if they do know, there's some point where how many times can you tell your kid something that you know is right? They don't listen to you. I walk in the room and go, hey, do this. And they go, yes, sir.
All the time, buddy.
And parents go,
Every
what
time.
the heck's happening there? Right? Well, so that's the difference. So if I were 9, 10, I think at 11 or 12, you got to start making that decision. I think at 13, that's why most youth leagues are done at 13.
Yeah.
They're done at 13 because that game slows down and there's so much more to teach, right? Now, that being said, kids who play 9 through 12 travel baseball and have a little bit more grind to them, they've worked harder, they have an easier transition at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
It's about the reps more than it is. I don't care what the.
And it doesn't even matter where you play. Like we talk like, oh, my 10-year-old team's going to be ranked in perfect game. Well, go ahead, but it doesn't matter. Like they're 10. Like make sure the team that you're on is going to practice 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. They're going to play 2 or 3, 4 games a week.
Just play games.
Just play. Just enjoy yourselves. Like the parents sometimes get upset. And I laugh at them. But like I had one mom who was mad. She's like, she commented something on Facebook. It was a grandma. Well, you have 2 teams out there at a time. Yeah, because our 9s are playing our 10s, our 11s are playing our 12s.
Yeah.
And this year we're lucky enough to have 2 13-year-old teams, right? Who will go do battle every Sunday. Every Sunday afternoon, our 2 13 teams will meet at the farm, right? And they're going at each other. You can't beat that. Like, because that's what it used to be.
Yes.
Right? It used to be, hey, like, I remember, again, 1976, you showed up at the playground. There was a dirt field with a big wood box behind it. All the equipment for the league was in the wood box unlocked. You would play a game with anywhere from 8-year-old to 15-year-olds. I really think I was a decent catcher because, I'm 9 years old and there's some 15-year-old up there going, you can catch it.
Just catch it,
Just
Rock.
catch it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that if you're going to be, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough.
But I think that it really made the core group of guys that played on Baylor's Blues team for so long made them better. At 14 years old, Rocky's making them play our 15s. At 15 years old, they're playing the 16s and the 17s.
So our fall is kind of, we don't play as many tournaments, but if you looked at the schedule, like starting next Saturday at 10 o'clock coming out to the farm, because our 14s are playing our 16s are playing our 17s, and at 1 o'clock our 14s are playing our 15s, and then on Sunday our 13s are playing each other, right? And eventually, if those 13s, and I think those teams are getting better, so they're pretty even right now.
Yeah.
If they can't beat each other, then we'll throw the 14s in that mix and play a 3-way because we want them to be challenged and beat. It's like our little 10-year-old team last year was pretty good, right? When I scheduled practices, our best 12 played our 11. Our second best 12 played our 10s because the 10s were as good as the 11s. So it was no fun for them to play the 9s.
Yep.
They beat the crap out of them.
And they're going to do it. If they're good in high school, they're going to do it anyway,
Yeah.
right? If you're good in high school and you get to play as a freshman, guess what? You're playing against seniors.
I'm gonna tell a good story. Thomas went to the Knights at 15. At 14, I said, I'm not coaching. That's our last year together. I can't coach you anymore because you're going to hate me as a dad, right? So he goes to the Knights, and I get this call from Fruchtenmeyer on like a Wednesday, and it says, hey, man, what are you doing Saturday? And I said, nothing. He said, I need you to have Thomas at Roan State at 10 o'clock Eastern. I went, for what? He said, well, our 18U team's playing in Roan State, and they're short a second baseman, so we're sending Thomas. And I went, my kid's 14 years old. He said, your kid's a high school baseball player. And he hung the phone up.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off. I called him back.
I'm like, wait a minute,
you hanging
dude.
up on me? He goes, there's nothing more you could say.
Yeah.
And I went, I really don't like you today. He said, that's all right. You'll like me tomorrow. We hung up. We laughed. And Thomas went and played against
And it's fine.
19 and 20-year-olds. He did fine. It was fine. Because when you walk into a high school, you're a high school baseball player. And if you're a freshman, your goal should be, I'm going to start.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of why 12, 13, 14 are really good years of development in travel ball that you don't get if you're playing 13-year-old at a local park, you're probably not going to be very good in high school.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're playing a travel ball and they're working you 3 times a week, and like our 13 and 14s coming in to lift 4 nights a week, like you're doing that, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can't help but get better.
Right. It's just the process.
Yeah.
So what about the parents, Rocky? Oh.
Parents are different. The younger the parent, the crazier.
The younger the parent, the crazier?
Yep.
Okay.
Once they hit 16, 17, 18,
It's pretty easy.
it's pretty easy. I don't get many complaints. Every once in a while we have to have a little talk, but they understand the process. They understand where their kid is. They hope their kid does something good, but it's on the kid.
Yeah.
At 9 and 10, it's always about the coach.
Yeah.
If the kid's not playing well, it must be the coach.
So do you have different conversations with the younger parents versus
Yes,
older?
completely different conversations because,
Okay.
and again, I'm not politically correct. It's 1976. I'm
Right.
old.
And do you tell every parent that?
Oh yeah.
When they first come in,
going
like this
Yep.
is what you're going to experience and see.
Yeah, I tell them, I warn them.
Yeah.
Like when you come in and you ask me why your kid's not playing, you might not like the answer, right? And most of the answer is this, and this is true with all parents. Kids under the age of 16, their development is based on how committed the parent is. Kids 16 and over, their development is based on how committed the player is. Because you can have a 13-year-old that wants to be there every day, and his mom's like, no, I worked all day. I'm tired. I ain't coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do about it, which is why we tell them all the time, were you in there the other night when that mom was like, I need to go.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, and I was real calm. And I went, well, look, see that group of 5 guys? Every one of them passes your house. They'll be glad to take your kid home.
Yeah, and then we were joking. We were saying all the guys were together. We were like, well, heck, we're just going to drop our kids off and make Rocky find a ride for them.
Yeah.
And I would.
Yeah.
I'd take them home. I'd put them all in the truck.
And then we were like, wait till 20 kids need a ride at the end of the night. He's going to be messaging out, complaining.
You know how many baseball players
What they tell you I do? They said, nah, he'll take the cover off the truck bed and go 1976,
Get
put them all
in.
in the back. Let's go.
You know how many kids have ridden to a game or practice with me and like I'm not as involved, was never as involved as Rocky, but
when I get out of it, like when we play away tournaments, we rent a room that's a player room.
the player room.
Because I know there's, especially, when you're older, they start on Wednesday.
Yep.
Parents can't come. All right, you 6 are in that player room, find a place to
Get
sleep.
in there, boys.
Get in there, huddle up, make sure it's clean.
Yeah. Shout out Braden Jandera.
Yeah, shout out to Braden Jandera. Make sure it's clean, man.
Jandera's room.
So, we did that all the time. Like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Parents are just like me. I could be Papa Bear at times with Thomas and Patrick. And my wife, I love her to death, but she can get South Carolina redneck in a heartbeat. In a flash.
Listen, though.
I don't see your wife at the facility very
Miss
much.
Kim?
She comes out every now and then,
She
right?
does.
Hey,
Okay.
she's a saint.
Oh, she's a saint. She puts up with 3 of us.
She's a saint.
She's a saint. There's
She's
no
got
doubt.
3 Rockies.
Yeah, she's a
Right.
saint.
She's a saint. And she's going to take the kids. She's an educator also.
Okay.
And she's going to take the kids that are in the facility by default, no matter where they go to school, and she's going to help those kids with their math or algebra or whatever.
Like she's tutored kids in our facility. Like
yeah.
the parents will be like, can Kim help with math? I'm like, yeah, so come hit and then go to my house.
Baylor was struggling with
and
something.
they sit at the table.
She's
Yeah.
a math teacher?
She's a math teacher.
Baylor was struggling with something in his freshman year, I guess.
Algebra kicked Baylor's tail
some
a
kind
little
of
bit.
right, and we're like, you know what? I bet Miss Kim can help. I text Rocky, and he's like, have Baylor text her. Well, there she is. She's not only did the kid's going up there to hit, so he's getting his baseball stuff. Then he's going across the street, and she's like, "Do you want to eat? Do you want some?"
Then they fix some food. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I'll come home and
you're the
kid will
cook, right?
Yeah, but she, Kim makes a mean grilled cheese sandwich. So they'll be sitting they'll be sitting there, and Baylor was working, him and Jandera and the rest of them, they'd be working on their stuff, the Vaughn boys, and they'd be eating grilled cheese. I'm like, so not only are you getting tutored, but my wife's cooking you my food.
Tutor,
like, what is going on here?
Food. Like it's more than just.
Hey, that's Karen, right? Caring for people.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
Not Karen with a K, Karen with
Right.
a C.
But parents want their child to be good at whatever they do.
No matter what it is.
And there is, listen, I tell people these stories, like, don't be that guy. I was definitely that guy on occasion, especially with Thomas, right? Because I wanted him, there's no doubt in my mind that when Thomas was in college, I wanted him to get a hit more than he wanted to get a hit. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I would sit there and pray. I'd rub my little coins together. Like, I had all these rituals I do, right? Just to make sure he played well, because, you want that because the kid wants that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I laugh. I told you this. I said, man, you'll be way better off in your old age if your kid doesn't play a college sport. I can't imagine just calling my kid up and going, how was your chemistry test?
Yeah.
Like, it's not about that when your kid plays a college sport. It's like, how was practice? Where are you on the depth chart?
Yeah.
How'd you hit today? And then, and that's the same thing with all the parents, right? When they go to that game, parents forget how hard it is to actually play baseball.
Yeah.
Right? And in today's world, a lot of parents never played baseball. So regardless of that, they don't know how hard it is. And they think it looks easy.
Yep.
And they have no clue. And I go, you have no clue how hard it is. And some guys are like, man, I played in high school. I was good. And I go, no, you weren't.
No, you weren't.
Think back and think you were good.
Yeah.
Right? But you weren't. You weren't.
Well, the talent levels changed a lot.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
15-year-olds today are better than 18-year-olds were in 1995.
There's no
6 and
doubt.
7. So much better.
The hardest pitcher I ever caught in college was 96. We had one kid who threw 96. Everyone else threw 85, 86. The pitching we saw week in, week out was 85, 86.
Yeah.
The idea of having a whole staff that was 94 and above,
non-existent.
Now, to tell you how bad I was, the first 20 sliders he threw hit me in my thigh because I couldn't catch them.
Yeah, never seen it.
You know, never saw that before. The kids I caught in high school were 80 or less. Now, the average high school pitcher today is still 80.
Yeah.
The difference is the average high school pitcher today is 6'3".
Yeah.
People are bigger today than
And
they
more
were
pitches,
30 years ago.
and more pitches, and they've played 50 summer
of
ball
summer.
games. And
Yeah,
they're-
35 high school games, 50 summer ball games.
Yes.
20 fall league games. And everyone's like, oh man, they play too much. You know, you hear those guys say they play too much. That's a lot. That is such a bunk of them saying that, because the truth is if you don't keep playing. Thomas got hurt. I can't remember what year it was. He came home from summer league, he hurt a little bit, and they said basically, we're shutting you down. You can't hit, you can't throw, you can't do anything. So 6 weeks in the summer, Thomas is nothing, which means that on like the end of July, suddenly he's allowed to do stuff again. And it might have been right before his COVID year.
Yeah.
He's allowed to do stuff again. And so we start to get ready to hit, and he got so mad every day because he goes, it feels like it's foreign. It feels like I've never swung a bat before, because baseball is a learned sport.
Yep.
Right? So if you don't keep working on it and you're not going to be good at it. Right? It's just how it is. You know, it's amazing to me that some kids are just athletically gifted enough or have trained enough or whatever, they can come back in a couple of weeks and do that.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. Like, it's just hitting is so hard. And parents don't know that. 10-year-old moms out there, I don't know why he doesn't hit every time. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't know how hard it is. And even though they're 10, like, it's all relative, right? It's hard.
I think you should do a Blues fundraiser that is
Let the parents hit.
games and wiffle ball it. You could do wiffle ball. You could play with tennis balls. You can play with whatever you want. And it should be age group parents versus each other.
See how they do.
And it could be a fundraiser.
That would be fun.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, I can't wait to see some of those 13-year-old guys like him who sit out there and do the whole, they stand in a circle. It cracks me up, right? So this is snitching on you, but there's like 10 of them every practice, and they stand in this circle outside the weight room, you know, and they're outside, and they just sit there and they solve all the world's problems, right?
yeah.
And it cracks me up because they talk about the craziest stuff, and they all watch, and they're all like, you know, James Caperton, I don't know why he can't hit every time. Dude, you wouldn't touch it.
I can't.
Like I told him the other night, I'm like, you wouldn't touch it. Colton was in there, right? Colton Sanders was in there, and he goes, is he good? I said, you wouldn't see it. He'd throw you a slider and you'd fall over. Like,
Yep.
you have no clue. Like, that's why we laugh all the time, because the kids go, could you hit? And I went, I could hit back then. Now I'm not getting into boxing.
No.
I can't see.
Can't see it.
I can't see good enough.
And
Once
your
you get
reaction
above
time's
50, you might
off.
as well just. That's why you look at those guys that are still playing at 40. Hats off, greatest athletes ever.
Yeah, good job, dude. Yeah, you win.
I wish parents would understand that even though you want the best for your kid, they've got to want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they're 9 or 10. And I tell parents all the time, like, well, I had to make him come to practice. I went, oh, don't do that.
Don't make him.
And they go, what? I go, don't do that. Just text me, hey, Dad, I want to come to practice tonight. I'd say, okay, let me work on it. Then the next time when he comes to practice,
Yeah.
hey, man, you missed Tuesday. Yeah, I was tired. Tell me why. Like, let me work that. Don't be mean to them and force them to come, because that's when kids are
Yeah.
like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Right? Don't let them hate stuff. It's just, and I tell people this all the time, it's just baseball. Just baseball.
Hey, I'll give you another one, Rocky. Last fall, Baylor's played spring, fall, summer since he was, 6.
Yeah, forever.
Right? And I called Rocky at the end of the summer, and I was like, Baylor wants to take the fall off. He's like, he wants to shut it down. Had a concussion thing in high school, missed time during the high school season. He wants to shut it down. Rocky said, shut it down. Don't play this fall. Tell him to hit. Tell him to do his thing. If he wants to go to a camp, go to a camp. Take a break. It'll be good for him. It was probably the best thing he has ever done. He had a summer like
Yeah.
no other.
Yeah,
Beat the cover off the baseball.
Yeah, he just had a good. Sometimes you need a break.
Need a break.
Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But again, like, the key to that, the caveat to that was Baylor also came up twice a week.
Yeah.
And would just
Go to
come
work.
in and go, can I hit a little bit? Yeah, hit a little bit.
hit.
Then he'd look and go, You throw to me a little bit? Yeah, I'll throw to you a little bit. Like there was no rhyme or reason when he came, and it didn't matter to me. Like we always either I threw or someone found a way to throw to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and then by the end he was like, I think I'm going to go to this camp with you. Or I think I'm going to go here with you. And I go, okay, whatever you want to do, babe.
That's the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think a parent has to understand too. Like do what's right for the kid. Let the kid. The quicker the kid.
Both ways.
Yes.
Both ways. So if the kid says, I want to go to practice tonight, I know you hate it.
Get them to practice.
Get them to practice. Let them go to practice. Sit in your car, drink your glass of wine, read your book. It's okay. Like those moms always tell me, you need a wine bar. I can't have a wine bar up there because they'd be luscious. Like they'd be pounding.
We used to say all the time, like our group of dads were like, man, if we could sell beers up here.
If you could sell beers and some barbecue at my practices, man, you'd make a mint. But you know what I mean? Bring them. In the same way, if the kid goes, I'm tired from school, don't force them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't force them. It's just baseball. Like, it's okay. Let them out. They'll be all right.
It's all right to take a
It's
Tuesday
all right.
off.
Take a Tuesday off. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. You know, if you see the kids start taking like every Tuesday off, then you got to investigate that.
Yeah.
Right? But most of the time, it's like, just be okay.
Give the dude a night off.
Let them be all right. The funny part is kids want to come. It's normally mom and dad who are like, God, I'm exhausted.
I do have, I've got two things. We're going to ask Rocky some rapid fire questions.
Yeah. Before we do that, I'd like to know Rocky's opinion on where travel sports are going.
Where they're going? Not away.
I don't think they're going away. I think that
Because we talked about players getting better, which I assume travel sports has a little bit to do with that. And then
I think travel
getting bigger
sports
and
has a lot to
stronger
do
too.
with it. I think there's two things that make players better today. I think that one, the coaching has got more specialized. It used to be that, the dad who coached your little league team, coached your little league football team, your little league basketball team, your little league baseball team, your little league wrestling team, whatever it was. And now businesses have gone, hey, there's a business model here. We can make these kids better doing this. So I don't think that's going away.
Yeah.
I think that there's too many players in the game now. So parents have to be really smart, no matter what sport it is, about what organization or what coach they choose. And I tell parents all the time, like when they say, well, I'm going to go try this. I go, okay, go ahead. Right? Because you should try wherever you want to try, but understand that there's reasons everyone does something the way they do it. There's a business model for every business, whether they know it or not. And so it's one of those that you've got to understand what that person's business model is, right? If it's like with baseball, if their organization is based out of Florida and they're suddenly coming up here to open a new branch, they're doing it for a reason. Yeah. And that reason is not that they suddenly care about the 15 kids that are 15 years old in Middle Tennessee. Yeah. That's not the reason. We want to be good, but I tell people all the time, we're the Oakland A's, right? We're the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're the small market MLB team. We get kids from a 20-mile radius. If you drew a 20-mile circle on our facility, or maybe 30 because you include Bowling Green, if you drew that, that's where our kids come from, And, we don't have a national team, but we compete against all the teams that they say are national teams, because a lot of times all those national teams
just a name.
Well, it's an a la carte thing, right? Oh, you get to go play with our national team this week. Okay, great. Give me $500. Yeah. Right. That's how that really works, right? And that's not always the best way to do it. So I think that youth sports aren't going away. I think it's a big business. And I think parents want their kids involved. They want to give every step up. I think that's more true now than ever. I think that, when, I obviously grew up in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I graduated in the 80s, early 80s. And I'm absolutely certain that my parents wanted me to be better than they were. Right? They wanted me to be better than
That's
they
the way
were.
it should be.
Right. And I wanted my kids to be better than I was. And I think that this generation's parents want their kids to be better than them. And that means they get to step up. They have to understand that there's I always tell parents, there's a lot of paths your kid's going to travel. Right? You got to trust that, your kid's going to figure out the path. Yeah. Not you. Yeah. You can't, I can't pick Thomas and Patrick's path. I'd like to. I can't pick their path. They've got to pick their own path. And it's hard to do. I'm telling you, as a dad of old people, it's hard to sit back and go, man, I know he's making a mistake, but you got to let him make the mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
Let him touch the stove.
Yep.
It's going to burn.
Yep. You want to go into rapid fire, Chad?
Before we go there, Jason has urged me outside of this podcast to continue my rants, because evidently I get on these rants about a topic, and that ends up being the thing that people take from this podcast is whatever
rant you give?
yeah, whatever I'm mad at or whatever I think is stupid or, and nobody has to agree with me. But the one from this week, it hit me when we had an event in Nashville, and we are very fortunate, and we do not have to travel to Nashville every day. We're not commuters. I commute upstairs to my office is where I commute, right? Mm-hmm. People who drive the speed limit or less than
make you crazy
in the passing lane. I wanted to pull my hair out. We were doing 56.
Hey, don't do that because your hair is beautiful.
Thank you, Rocky. I told Jason you would say something. I told Jason you'd probably be disappointed that I had a hat on.
I was a little.
57 miles an hour, I think, was the top speed of this one individual in the passing lane on 386. That's not anywhere close.
No traffic in front of them? Or
No traffic
okay.
in front of them.
Okay.
You should be removed from the road if you cannot use that lane for what it's designed for, to pass. You pass the car, get over, go on about your business. And there are 2 counties that are big time offenders of this. And I love my folks in Macon and Trousdale County, but the speed limit on 386 is 65. So you get in that left-hand lane, 65 or more, get over to the right lane. And if you want to do 52, do 52. That's all I got.
Well, they're coming to the city. They like to see the big stuff. They want to go slow so they can see it all.
I was like, and it never fails.
They're like, ooh, look at the city in front of us.
Oh, look at the lights.
Look at the lights.
Yeah. I'm like, please, for the love, pass the person and get over. But that's
Nashville traffic in general has got
and
ridiculous.
then you get to Nashville and it's even worse.
It's so terrible.
Yeah, it get to worse. We do have some questions, some rapid fire.
Yes, we're going to do just rapid fire, Rocky. Give us a brief, quick answer. You don't have to explain yourself unless you want to.
We ask more. Number 1. If you could have a beer, glass of wine, share a meal with anyone famous, they got to be alive. Who would it be?
Famous alive.
Yeah, they got to be alive. Can't be dead because you can't eat with a dead person. I mean, I guess you could, but that'd be weird.
Terry Bradshaw.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your favorite restaurant?
Oh, it doesn't have to be here.
Anywhere.
Rizzo's.
Rizzo's.
Rizzo's is in Crabtree, Pennsylvania, which is outside between Greensburg and Latrobe.
Italian spot.
And it's an Italian spot. Tremendous.
Hey, pizza or burgers?
Pizza.
He's Italian.
I like a good burger, but I mean pizza. Please, pizza's it's perfect food.
I love pizza. Describe your dream or favorite vacation.
Well, I have 2.
Yeah.
So if I'm going with family or friends, then believe it or not, I'm a big Disney World guy.
Yeah.
Like I just love
Yeah.
that. I love
I
the
knew
whole
that.
idea
I knew
of
that about
Like I
Rocky.
love the whole
Yeah.
idea of that. I think it's
Yeah.
the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Regardless of all their political views. But like if I'm going just for me, you give me a beach,
Yep.
a pineapple juice with some coconut rum in it,
Yes.
and you leave me there for hours.
Yes.
Perfect.
You know, one of the
See me
coolest,
later. We'll go have some oysters and I'll be happy.
one of the coolest things, Rocky, I get a text. We go to spring break every year. A lot of the high schools play in Gulf Shores. There's a couple weeks of really good baseball down there. And we're down there and I'm like sitting in the beach house and, doing whatever. And I get a text and it's Rocky. It's like, hey, what's your schedule? And I was like, what's my schedule? I'm in Gulf Shores. He said, yeah, dummy. What's your baseball schedule? So I sent him my schedule and he's like, me and Kim are headed down. We're watching games. We got some players on teams. It's our first week without kids. And I said, you're coming down. He's like, we're at the beach. We're doing this. And it was awesome. Baylor thought it was so cool that he's like, Rocky came
Listen,
and
that
watched
was the
us play.
coldest I've ever been in a game, though.
Freezing.
For whatever reason.
Freezing.
I'm like, I'm at the beach, and it's like 6 degrees in a game. Like, what's going on?
And then we're sitting in what I would tell you is the best restaurant in Gulf Shores. It was my honorable mention for my favorite restaurant, Doc's. I had sent Rocky like a list of some restaurants. I was like, hey, we'd come down here all the time. We're sitting there having a meal, and here comes Rocky and Kim. And I was like, this is awesome. So
I ordered what he did.
Yeah.
That's what did you order? And I ordered that. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you win the lottery, like big lottery, life-changing, 500 million plus, what do you do with it?
So I've planned this out for a long time.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is I set up a scholarship fund for every blues player that's ever played.
Love it.
Go to college, trade school, don't care what you need, down payment on a house, don't care.
Yep.
One time only, this is how much
Here's
you get.
some-
Yep,
yeah.
here's some money. Because I think that would be cool. Like even for future players. Then I build 4 turf fields and a big indoor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bring all the boys home and tell them, you run it, I'm going to the beach, but you run it. When I come home, it better be right. So,
Yep. I love it.
That's awesome. Would they come home and run it?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, if you're a billionaire, how could they not? Like if I win $500 million, I don't think Thomas wants
Yeah.
to suddenly keep coaching college baseball and cleaning uniforms.
No, he
know?
would, we could run a Lake Point-esque.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Favorite sports team?
Well, even though I'm a
You gotta
baseball
pick one.
guy, it's Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it'd be Notre Dame or the Steelers.
It's a close call,
Yeah.
but I think there's too much pressure in college. Like I know
college.
that sounds weird,
It is-
but I think when
yes.
you're like Notre Dame, Tennessee, no matter who you're a fan of,
Yes.
like the pressure of college football is like, oh my God, we lose the first game of the year.
It's
We're not
win or
making the
bu-
college
it's
football
win or
playoffs.
bust.
Like, yeah, it's like every game. Like I could, oh my God, that'd be terrible. But
Could you imagine being an Alabama fan if they lose
No.
3 or 4 games this year?
no, oh God, no.
They'll
it'd
be wanting to shut the
brutal.
team down.
Yeah, I just can't.
It's possible.
It'd
Yeah.
be Gene Stallings all over again. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
I think it's possible there.
High school ball or college ball?
Baseball.
Baseball or football?
Baseball.
I like watching college ball better.
Yeah.
Because again, high school baseball is for pride, which means that on a 9 guys that start on a high school baseball team, 4 or 5 can play.
Yeah.
The rest of them are great kids and they're out there
Yeah.
working hard, and I love them to death, and I'll keep coaching them up and doing whatever. But the truth is, when you go see a college game, those guys, it doesn't
They can
matter
all
if it's
play.
D3 to D1, those jokers can play.
They can all play.
They can play. The difference between a D3 player and a D1 player is a sliver.
Yeah.
It's a sliver.
Yeah.
Good insight.
Favorite actor? Or actress?
Well, I can't go there. My wife will get mad. Favorite actor? I don't know. That's really a tough question.
It is, because
There's a ton.
yeah. It's McConaughey for me.
I like him, but I think I'm leaning toward like older. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking older. Like I don't know. Like Kevin Costner is probably my favorite
he's
actor,
so
just because of the range of the movies.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I can watch a cowboy movie, I can watch a baseball movie.
he's
I
been
still
there
like the
forever.
guy. Yeah.
Favorite movie?
I got to give 2 because I've thought
Yeah.
about this before, and it's a toss up all the time
Yeah.
because it's different kinds, right?
Yep.
So my favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
It's my favorite movie. But like sports wise, like if I had to turn on a movie and I was bored and I got to watch it, then it's either Bull Durham
Yes.
or Moneyball. It's
Moneyball.
one of those two.
Moneyball is so good.
It's so good. It's one of those two
Yeah.
that I'm like, if I see it on, I'll sit there and watch it, even if I got stuff to
Yeah.
do, just because I like it.
Yeah. Singer.
My favorite singer?
Yeah.
Oh, either Buffett or Billy Joel. That's all. Ask Thomas. I've turned Thomas into a Buffett, Billy Joel. Thomas listens to
So
only
Thomas
80s.
is a parrot head now?
Thomas, yeah, he's a parrot head. He only listens to 80s music. Like I've turned my kid into a freak. Yeah.
I like it.
Matty Batts is the same way.
Is he really?
Yeah, so Matty Batts is the same way. He only listens to 80s music. Like it's like, what
love
have I
it.
done to this generation? Like it's
Okay.
crazy.
Now you got to pick a song.
Everything from the 80s is coming back, though. so-
Favorite song?
New York State of Mind, Billy Joel, New York State
Joel.
of Mind.
That's a good one.
Okay. You got any more?
That's all I got.
Yeah. Rocky, this was fun.
I had a good time. I
We
hope
did
I was
not.
good.
I don't think we had to use the bleep
I didn't say bad words,
time.
did I?
No, that was insane.
Because
Yeah.
normally, I say a few every once in a while.
So
Although, I made a New Year's resolution and it's still going, which is shocking. I made a New Year's resolution that I was not going to say any bad words to any players 12 and under. Right? Because I was like, I'm not being like, it dawned on me, like in the facility, like every once in a while I'd get on someone and I'd let something fly. And I was like, that's really a bad example to set for the little kids. Like, I got to tell you, if you're 16 and I'm ripping you, you're probably going to get a bad word or two, right?
Yeah.
But like, so I haven't, like now it's 13. So it's actually 13 and down have not. So I figured like I'm turning a leaf. Like in my
like
old
it.
age.
Oh, you've gone up to
dog.
13 now?
Yeah, like so now, like last night, I wanted to say a couple bad words to the kids, and I didn't. And I was like, okay, yeah. So now we're 13 and down. So like 3-4 more years, I'll be good.
Well, Thomas was worried. I was cooking dinner last night, and I called Tom, and I said, "Hey, buddy." He said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, guess who's going to be our guest on the podcast tomorrow?" He's like, "Who?" I said, "Rocco." He said, "Oh no."
My kids worry.
He said, "Oh no." He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, buddy."
Patrick went back. I told Patrick a couple of days ago I was doing it. And Patrick went back and called me this morning. He goes, "Hey, you ready?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you review any of their old podcasts?" I was like, "No." He goes, "Well, here's what they're going to talk to you about, Dad." So Patrick, this tells you the difference between my two children.
Patrick's researching,
Patrick
making sure he's
researched
prepared.
it all.
Wow.
Like he gave me a game plan.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Gave me a game
Yeah.
plan. He said, Chad's going to do 90% of the talking.
Yeah, well,
He said,
thanks, Patrick.
yeah. And he said, but don't worry about it. He said, try to keep your language good. And he said,
Yeah.
listen, I know you're going to want to be like up and down. Don't I'm like, okay.
You're perfect.
The other way, Thomas last night called and said, "Dad, man, they're going to bait you into something crazy. Be careful. You're going to say bad words." And I'm like, "Tom," I said, "Not that many people watch." He goes, "No." He said, "They'll post something on Facebook and like 5 million people watch the thing." I was like,
I told him, I said, "We're liable to go viral with Rocky."
Rocky's
on here.
going to become a star.
Oh, I don't think
of
so. I
this.
don't think I got it. Was the
star of the
I try
show.
not to be too controversial today.
No, it was perfect. Thank you very
I'll
much.
come again. We'll do some other
Appreciate
stuff.
Thank you very
Tom.
much.
Yeah,
I
let's do
enjoyed it.
again.
Yep. It was a good time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Like,
Thanks,
rate,
guys.
review, subscribe, do all the stuff. Comment what you loved about Rocky.
You going to
Thanks.
send me a link to this thing so I can send it out to our 27,000 people who think
Yeah.
I'm in,
Absolutely.
that'll be fun.
Yeah. We'll have it
Yeah.
on Facebook, YouTube.
Well, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna continually run it in the facility so that
Oh, you
your-
want
your
you want the
circle-
hard copy where you can run it.
Your circle of 8 or 10 or 12 can sit there and watch it the whole time. That's what I really
awesome.
want to do.
Rocky loves you, kids.
I do.
Work
I really
hard.
do. Listen,
Yeah.
I got to
Work
tell
hard.
you, like, there's probably easier ways to make a living. And parents always say, we were laughing about this. Parents were like, "You make a lot of money in here."
Yeah.
Guys, if I wasn't a retired teacher,
Yeah.
I don't, and have
Yeah.
a wife who still works because she's crazy, and I would not.
Well, I think some people don't understand. You have a business. It's a small business.
Oh yeah,
It's not just a travel team trying to make a bunch of money. You're paying people.
we pay that's what
Yeah.
I tell people all the time. Like I have 4 guys that are full time.
Yeah.
They get paid. They get a paycheck.
Right.
They got to work.
Got to keep the lights on.
Yeah, got to keep the lights on. Got to keep the landlord off my back. Like all that stuff. So it's not that. It's just there's easier ways to make money, but I'm not sure there's any more fun way to make money.
And we could, you could save a whole lot of money, parents, if you would be okay with very basic uniforms. And parents aren't okay.
They're
with that.
not okay. It's the kids.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
the
he
kids.
came out with some more basic uniforms.
I did.
Hey, my team.
I did for our younger kids on purpose.
Yeah.
I gave out just $45 dry fit. Said, "Hey, buy these,"
Yeah,
because the economy's crazy, so it's
Yep.
worth that.
Yep.
But like our older kids, if I give them a dry fit with blues on it, they're the happiest
Yeah,
kids
they're
in
like,
the
cool.
world. Woo!
I would send. We had the 2 fancy jerseys. We had. I was like, "Hey, Rocky, bring the American flag jersey back."
Listen, and we brought it back for 14s through 16s too because they loved it.
Yes. So Rocky
The one
gets
with the stars.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like cheap dry fit, and we had a basic Columbia blue dry fit, right? Like just cheap shirts. I would send it a group text, which jersey, and they would say Columbia dry fit, USA dry fit, Columbia dry fit. USA draft.
Yeah, they never wanted to wear their other jerseys. Parents would yell at me.
Yeah.
His parents would call me and go, are we ever going to wear these other jerseys? I'm like, he leaves it up to your son.
It's the kids.
Let your son say, yeah, we want to wear the Columbia big jersey or the Navy jersey or whatever. And he's like, well, they don't want to wear those.
It's
I can't help that.
98 degrees out here. They want to wear the one that's not hot.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
We were somewhere and I washed jerseys for them. Because we were in Louisville and we played early and it was like 175, it was like being on the face of the sun. Yes. And I said, hey, everyone give me your jerseys. I'm going to go back to the hotel and we'll wash them. Because we had a 3 o'clock. So we played early. I washed the jerseys, wore the same jerseys at 3 o'clock. And we had other jerseys available. Mm-hmm. It was that one, Blues in the USA.
Yes.
It's blues and script and it's red, white, and blues is what it is.
They're in.
And that's what they wanted. I was like, all right. So I did laundry at the hotel.
Yep.
The white one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just way cooler.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate
thanks,
you.
guys. I appreciate
you
it,
coming.
Man. Thank you for coming.
All right.